We're getting a chance to talk to someone who is makeup and hair for the stars, for the actors that are in the motion pictures and TV series that you see. Kekepania Vasquez-Tamaliʻi, where are you from? You're from Hawaii originally?
Born and raised from Hawaii, here
Nice.
on Oahu, Laie, Hawaii.
Nice. What school you went to?
Kamehameha, actually.
And then after that, what did you do?
After that, I went to college up in Berkeley, California. So I went to UC Berkeley, and I majored in computer science. And I became an engineer for 27 years.
What made you want to do that?
My mom said I actually wanted to be a painter when I was a young kid, and she said that I needed to find a better job, and that's not a supporting job to do. So I'm really good in science and math, and everyone's like, you could be an engineer. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. But it's not like anything here in Hawaii. And I was like the only woman and actually the only Polynesian on staff when I first started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so what kind of an a engineer? Software engineer?
Hardware, software with an emphasis in information security. So I'm a pretty good expert, and that's a different story in itself. Yeah.
That's incredible. So you did that for 27 years.
27 years and counting.
When did makeup and hairstyle and fashion come into play?
You know, I had a family member here in Hawaii that we played with makeup and hair for years. Then when we got sent out to California, we actually really loved the Castro Theater, San Francisco, the vibe. And that family member eventually became from a male to female. So the transition with that, I actually got into makeup and hair that way.
Talk about some of the people that you've been able to have contact with. Kind of just name drop for me for a while.
I'm not much of a name dropper, but Carrie Ann Moss, which is our Trinity, Sybil Shepherd, Henry Golding.
Wow.
Actually, the president of the United States, because I was working on CNN for a little bit. So much more, but it's just, and then of course Magnum PI. That's the reason why I'm here, is because I went out to the mainland. I always wanted to come back to our ʻaina to belong, and I feel like the land was calling me back home. So Magnum PI gave me the opportunity to come here and work.
I'm imagining, because you are Polynesian, that may have put down some walls that sometimes the actors and actresses sometimes have. So you've got to really talk story with them while you're working.
Yes, all the time. A lot of them, it's just a little bit different kind of vibe, because they'll be like, oh, who's this girl? She's from Hawaii. And then the union, I'm part of the TV and film union, and I was the first Polynesian to be in that union, which after I got in, they had said, you're the first one, but there were two more that came in after. That's from Hawaii.
You're
too.
not only wahine and mana wahine Polynesia, you are knocking down walls and breaking glass.
And that's my goal, is to, from engineering to now hair and makeup, to break down the walls for our people.
You have been involved with motion picture, and the latest one has been Matrix 4, correct?
Yes, Matrix Resurrections.
And you've already done work on that, but at the time of this taping, you're getting prepared to go, and you've been rehired. Kind of explain why.
I'm being rehired because I have a department head, Flora Moody from the UK. My friend from San Francisco, she hired me to become their third hairstylist. And they actually had me do Trinity, which is under the direction of my department head. What kind of cut, what kind of hairstyle. I did the cuts and color on set with Trinity. The blue-haired girl that you see is Jessica Henwick, which is one of our main characters. I can't really talk about what she does.
Right.
And then just so forth, Mr. Smith, the young Morpheus, and the list goes on and on as we go down the line. But it's when I'm touching people with that set, I always think about I want to come back home. I want to come back to Hawaii and just represent our people. The creativeness and just everything about here at home. But it's very creative. It's never been seen before. The color is like a very vibrant blue, which actually that derived. I mean, it's part of the story, but I really wanted to incorporate like the HPD blue because it's like a family in HPD here, and I just wanted to like represent that blue, that color. But it's actually part of the story. But I was like, as a colorist, I was trying to go towards that blue, rich color.
That's awesome. You know, a lot of times we think that makeup and hair people, you just sit in the chair and and that's it.
Yes.
But you have to get it approved. You also engage directors and producers in seeing what you see.
Yes.
Correct? Talk about that process for a little bit.
Lana Wachowski is the director of Matrix and was the director and writer of the previous Matrix successful films. She would have to see every single, like, what's your ideas? We had to, my department head and Key and myself, we had to submit ideas to her. And then while we were executing it, she was right there seeing like, okay, what was the reason of this and that? Each little strand, each little color. Like, for instance, on Trinity, her hair was so black, but we had to break that black out of her hair and then add little subtle highlights in her hair. So when she's jumping off the building with Keanu, you could see the highlights, and it's like, oh, her, you know, the essence of coming back alive. Or I can't tell the story.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
So much of you growing up and who you are is inserted into your work.
Yes, most definitely. I think about it every day. I think about when I look at the tattoos, when I'm doing their hair, I think about home every day. And like one day I'm like, this is my goal, is to win an Emmy for Hawaii, is what I always say to myself. Like, I'm going to win an Emmy for those kids, Polynesian kids from all over here in Hawaii. And just one day, I'm just striving for that.
Okay. If somebody's watching this and somebody is all of a sudden massively interested in what you do you have first a suggestion for them?
Never stop. Even though there's in my family, no one really thought you could do hair and makeup. For a person that, any kid or even an older person like myself, I started at 38 going into beauty school. It's never too late is what I want to give. Never too late to follow your dreams. Never too late to start and then finish or keep striving for the best. Preserve throughout your whole belief that you'll make it.
Okay. What do you want to say to all of these stars and all of these people who have sat in your chair that are on the big screen? What do you want to say to them?
Thank you so much for having me to do your hair and to believe in me and to just talk story about Hawaii and to love about our people and visit our state, you know?
Finally, how can people follow you? Because I'm imagining they'll hear this, they'll see this, they'll want to know more about you, the person. How do they connect with you?
Instagram, I mean, it's KK Vasquez. I think it was a short version for easier for people to contact me with. I mean, they could do through emails, and I'm always interactive with people through Instagram. And I mean, from Magnum PI to Matrix fans, I'm always like responding all the time.
Thanks for talking story with us.
No, thank you so much for your time.
Keke Vasquez, once again, she is moving, shaking, doing, and she is going to the premiere and going to be there for, that's going to be...
Saturday? 18th, yes.
18th?
At the San Francisco Theater, Castro Theater.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for your time.